I'm just motivated by fear predominantly. My pre-game routine was to make sure I was as anxious as possible. I could, barely eat on game day.
Did you have fun?
Not when I was playing,
Yeah.
no. The overarching emotion on the night, once it became clear I was going to win, was one of embarrassment. I hit 30 and I had this epiphany I haven't really enjoyed.
In this interview, we chat with Chris Judd, AFL Hall of Famer, dual Brownlow Medalist, premiership captain, and now a successful investor and business leader.
The story we got told when we were kids was work hard, get an education, go to university, save money, and your quality of life will improve. That's just proven to be a lie. Everyone's got to become an investor. I was almost pre-diabetic not that long after footy and was lean, so I was doing so much exercise. Like Pringles, there's no potato in the whole thing.
What are we actually
Zero. That's right. You're like, what is
terrifying?
What is that thing?
Yeah, I hear.
And then people wonder why they're not as fit as they want to be. Yeah. But it's hard to avoid it.
Let's meet someone who dominated on the field, leads with purpose, and continues to grow through business, family, and health. I'm Kate Sage. The Inspired CEO starts now. Welcome to The Inspired CEO, where each episode we explore the innovative wellness practices that are driving success and longevity in the modern business world. In this interview, we chat with Chris Judd, AFL Hall of Famer, dual Brownlow Medalist, premiership captain, and now a successful investor and business leader. We chat about his journey from elite sport to life beyond the game, and the mindset that's driven his success, both on and off the field. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, Kate. Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure. So take me back to the very start. Were you a sporty kid?
Very sporty kid. Yeah, love sport. Earliest memories are sort of kicking a football around the front yard and using the driveway fence as goals, or throwing a tennis ball against the wall and hitting it. Imagining I was in the Australian cricket team. So always played a huge part in my life, and probably gave me a lot of foundational lessons that still serve me to this day. Role
modelling from your family or just?
Yeah, I think my family were active, like they weren't elite sports players, but my mum was a really handy netballer.
Oh, right.
And super competitive. And my dad was a solid athlete at school, did athletics and middle distance running and played some footy and cricket. I did meet some of his friends once I was into my football career, and they said that my mum must have been a wonderful footy player, given
your dad's
the way he was as a footy player, which sounded a bit harsh. But he was always up for a kick. When I was little, I had no brothers, so he was the kicking partner, the bowling partner, and everything in between. So I was really lucky to have that sort of outdoor lifestyle growing up.
Yeah, and so when you were 16, this is when it all sort of started, is that right? So you won, what was the award you won?
So probably started to feel serious as a 16-year-old. Yeah, I guess I loved sport, but you just never really know what else you're up against. And then at the age of sort of 15, I went to a national carnival for football, and so you could see what the other footballers were like in the different states. And then at 16, made the AIS Academy, was part of the AIS program for a year, which was a great program. I'm not sure if it's still going now. But that was the moment where, not only was I passionate about it, but at that stage you could see players who'd been through that pathway previously, and it started to felt like a realistic ambition to try and make a career out of sport and football in particular. And
so your next move then, so you were 18 when you were drafted?
Yep.
Yeah? And tell me what that was like. Like, did you think, I've made it, this is it? Or
No, not at all. Like, I'm always, have a penchant for being very forward-looking, like potentially to my detriment at times, certainly not for goal-chasing behaviour. It's a pretty useful behavioural trait. But as part of that AIS program, if you were born in the first half of the year, you could be drafted as a 17-year-old. I was born in the second half of the year, so I had to wait another year.
Right.
So by the time I was drafted, there was a host of other players who I felt were at a similar level, who'd already been drafted, and some of them were already playing AFL football. So my urge was just like, I just want to catch up. And was never really, was pleased that now the next step had been taken, but it never felt like a destination had been reached post being drafted.
And so you moved then, you moved just by yourself? Yeah. And so had you lived out of home before you did that?
No, I'd just finished school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a big move.
Yeah.
Perth's obviously the other side of the country.
Yes.
And I was looking forward to finishing school and hanging out with, mates you grew up with and doing all those sorts of things. So that was a big shock. But by the same token, it was such an exciting opportunity. I ended up getting drafted to West Coast Eagles, which is a wonderful club. It was a huge powerhouse then and still is now, despite being low on the ladder. And it just got super busy. Yeah, I was probably pretty obedient for the first year.
Yeah.
So they really tailor the amount of training you do when you're younger, so you don't overtrain. And that just drove me crazy for my first year because I'm sort of obsessively driven.
Yeah.
And then I decided at the end of my first year that I would just run my own program, and I did that, and that worked till it didn't. I trained way too much, and had good success from that till I broke down in my mid-20s.
Yeah, I was listening to something where Jonathan Brown said you were one of the players that was underestimated when you first went out there, and then you had like an incredible game against the team and everyone's like, we told you he was coming, and no one believed them. And so when you first win that Brownlow, what's that feeling? Were you expecting that then, or?
No, it wasn't. It was a mixture of emotions. It was really a before and after moment for me and my now wife, Beck. Just in terms of, just the lack of privacy that followed and the attention that came with that. So that was unique, even though I had some profile pre that really escalated it to another level. And then I remember just the overarching emotion on the night, once it became clear I was going to win, was one of embarrassment, which was sort of strange and not what you'd expect. And I guess, I'd always held up people who'd won those sorts of awards or captain premierships to be sort of on another level and superhuman, and certainly not how I viewed myself.
Yeah.
And so there was some discomfort there. I even recognised that the second time I won the Brownlow, and then was consciously able to just go, don't be ridiculous. Just be smug and get drunk and be arrogant and enjoy it.
I must say, Dad and I were happy when you moved to Carlton. We're Carlton supporters,
very good.
So that's amazing. Now I heard you talk about not your mindset being that if you need to run away from the bear, you don't need to be the fastest as long as there's someone running with you. You just need to beat the other guy. Tell me about that mindset in the game.
Yeah, so different people get motivated from different things. I'm just motivated by fear predominantly. And that to me seems rational. Yeah. I think I'd certainly run quicker running away from a bear that was trying to eat me than running towards something that was going to make me happy. But other people are different.
Yeah,
other people
carrot or the stick.
Yeah, so my pre-game routine was to make sure I was as anxious as possible. I couldn't be anxious enough.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't anxious enough, I would consciously visualise me failing, losing the game for the team, pulling out of contests, doing the things that would really provide shame for a footballer until I'd whip the anxiety levels up to a level where I could, barely eat on game day.
Yeah.
And that's where I needed to be to play my best footy. And that doesn't work for everyone.
No.
And it's probably a tiring way to play professional sport too. Was sort of learned in my teenage years.
Yeah.
So
because you were young, you were super young, going in, winning the Brownlow as early as you did. So you probably just didn't have those life skills that. Yeah,
but I think that's sort of just how my brain's tapped. Like, I don't know if that was an immaturity thing. I think that was more of a personality trait.
Yeah, right.
And I remember growing up, and I wasn't a big drinker as a kid, but there were times as, 15, 16-year-old, I'd drink the night before a game, like there was a party on, as you do. And I remember driving to the game going, this is going to be a disaster. What sort of an idiot gets pissed as a kid before? And they were really good games.
Yeah,
and even as a 16-year-old,
Oh, that pressure to perform.
I sort of needed that. Yeah. And as a 16-year-old, I was playing for Vic Metro. I was mucking around in a lift, pushed the emergency stop button, was surprised that the lift actually does stop when you push the emergency stop button. 4 of us in a lift. One guy's claustrophobic, he's going for brain. Like the lift was this much open. You could see the coaches there like steaming. They're passing bits of toast down to us. Everyone's left for the game. We're still stuck in the lift. It was a disaster. And that was the best game of junior footy I ever played. So there was something about
chaos
when that fear of failure was really exacerbated. And that high level of stress I actually feel quite calm in. I don't really feel calm with constant low levels of stress, but high levels of stress I seem to be able to tolerate.
Tell me, I was listening to something else you said about you used to skateboard, and if you're going to jump 7 stairs or whatever, that you do the trial first but not pull it off and then know what you're up for and do it the second time. Then you made a comment about when you went out to play, you're not going to get that second chance. So what is that?
That was with reference to a grand final.
Yeah.
When you're a skateboarder and you're doing a trick for the first time and you go up and let's say on a kickflip, 5 stairs or something. And
I was a skater. My nickname's Skater.
My friends who were brilliant skateboarders would be going, have a look at this moron talking about his shit skateboarding ability. But anyway, when you're doing that, what I would often do is go up, sort of pop the trick, but not really try and land it the first time. Do you get a feel for what you're dealing with and then try and land it the second time? And I used to do that for a little bit, but then realised often the first approach, having a good crack at it, was often your best shot at doing it cleanly. And I could see that pattern for people in grand finals a bit, where the first time they played in them, particularly if they were young, it's like they needed to see what it was all about before they could get their head around it, that no, they were actually able to do it. And I just wanted to be conscious of not falling into that trap.
Yeah.
And understanding that football's a relative game. So, being highly stressed before an event, it's not a big deal anyway, but if everyone else is highly stressed too, then you're all starting at zero. I think people so often, they only know how they're feeling and get trapped trying to analyse that without acknowledging they might be in a relative game where everyone else is feeling similar or maybe way worse. And sort of big games in sport are really a case of that. You don't have to be unaffected by nerves, you just got to be unaffected less than the people you're playing against.
Did you have fun?
Not when I was playing, no.
Yeah.
No, I had fun when it was done.
Yeah.
And even fun's probably not the right. I felt a huge sense of achievement.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't have fun.
Yeah.
And I made the decision that I was going to, I got to the end of my career, I hit 30 and I had this epiphany, I haven't really enjoyed the career. It's been a decorated career and there's been some really special moments, but fun is not how I describe it. And I thought, I'm really going to enjoy this last period, however long it is. The last 6 months, Carlton would get beaten by 100 points every week and I was playing crap and,
was it fun?
The opportunity for fun was gone.
No. Okay.
So that could have been handled. That could have been handled a bit differently. And the game's changed a bit now as well. People didn't used to smile pre-game. When I got drafted, it was pretty serious and staunch and no one was talking about their feelings. So, there's a lot more touchy-feely stuff now.
Yeah. So when you were 16, you won $2,500 from getting into this program.
Yep.
You started dabbling in shares.
Yep.
So you and your dad went down, got some shares. You invested in. Did you go the small business or the big?
Went
business?
the small one in the end. So I was looking at Woolworths, which is a real blue-chip, high-quality company, or it was quite a penny dreadful. I can't even remember how big it was, but it was tiny. Yeah. Called AWA, which was an electrical manufacturer. Electrical equipment. I'm pretty sure it was based out of Australia, which seems so foreign that any manufacturing company could be based in Australia, given where we're at now. And I went that one, and it wasn't a great company, but it did really well. I think they got taken out, and we made some money but it was purely luck rather than skill. And
so then, through your footy career, you were dabbling in shares.
Yeah, so I always managed my own money.
Yeah.
I had this fear of being overly reliant on people. I didn't want to be like a duck at a river where there's a lot of tourists and then the tourists stop coming and you stop getting fed bread and you can't find your own food. So I was always conscious of that throughout my footy career. managed my own investments, which meant in my early 20s I invested in crap.
Did you lose some money? 'Cause
Yeah,
that'll make everyone feel better.
Lost some money, was getting margin called in the GFC when I was overseas.
Wow.
And,
Right.
Yeah, so not only was I investing in crap, was leveraging it, which is perfect.
Okay.
And so I learned all those lessons. Then when I was 28, I met a guy who founded a broking firm in Perth, who's a really great small micro-cap investor, and really learned how to invest then, and from then was able to make better decisions and start making money.
Can you explain microcap to people that haven't invested?
It depends who you talk to. I mean, microcap to us is companies that are worth less than $100 million.
Okay.
And that's a different skill set to buying, BHP or an ANZ, because they're volatile. There's often not much liquidity. And usually they require funding regularly. So it's a bit like VC investing with liquidity.
Yeah.
So it's a very different view to investing in something with a high return on equity and free cash flow.
And that's where you started with Giant Leap. You came out of footy, went to this big VC firm. What did you learn there?
I learned I don't like VC investing, so that was really useful. So I was an analyst there. I also learned I was crap at Excel, which is problematic for analysts. But I was really lucky to get that opportunity because I was underqualified for it.
Had you had any formal training?
No, but I've been investing my own capital properly for a while.
So, and you'd made mistakes, so you knew what not to do.
It wasn't like anyone had to teach me how to read a balance sheet and I'd already started, we'd bought Jagged, which is an apparel business, in 2013. So, I didn't have textbook experience, but I actually had
lived experience
where there was real money on the line, not monopoly money. Yeah, so and I'd invested with one of the guys there, so he sort of understood at some level what my skill set was like.
Yeah.
But in any case, it was a fortunate role to get.
And so how do you move from working from a VC to doing your own thing? Like, I can imagine that'd be a bit contentious, like saying goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, I could have co-invested in any of the deals I was looking at. So I was the first point of call for every company that wanted capital from them. And I reckon I looked at maybe 250 to 300 deals, and I didn't want to invest any of my own capital alongside the fund in that. And at the same token, on the side, I was investing in listed equities all the time and doing really well out of that.
Right.
And I just had this moment where it doesn't make sense when I'm spending the bulk of my week looking at companies that I'm not attracted to for valuation reasons or addressable market size or whatever it was, when there's a whole world here that's really profitable, that's really lighting me up.
And your first year, you got something like 25% return or something, is that right?
Yeah, so this was when I was a private investor, so the returns there are astronomical, but you were working off a low capital base.
Okay.
My first 12 months as a listed fund were 25%, and we've been annualising north of 22% now for the fund's existence. That's been a really good start, but it's early days. But yeah, so far so good.
Yeah. Tell me about Talk Your Book. So you were running that for quite a while.
Yeah. So one of the challenges I ran into. So I leave the VC job where you're around people, and I rent an office in South Yarra, and I'm sitting in the office all day by myself. I'd meet management at broker meetings at times, but there'd be often days at a time where you're just sitting behind a screen by yourself. And I don't need much contact with people, but even I need a bit more than that.
Yes.
And so I thought, I'd do some football media, not because I was wildly interested about doing football media full time, but it was a way to engage with people and have a laugh, and that was good fun. And then I started a podcast as well, which was a way of both building out the network for investing, meeting fund managers, learning how they look at the world, how they invest, but also just that interaction and being a part of something bigger. So I sort of felt I was building a customer acquisition channel without having anything to sell them at the time. And I didn't really even plan on having a product to sell, but that's what was happening. And in the end, I don't know if the fund got a lot of direct sales from that channel, but I certainly think it did give people the opportunity to see me in a different light and hopefully see that I have a level of understanding about markets. And for some people, that probably helped them believing that I'll be able to invest when the fund started a couple of years ago.
Because that is like a whole personal branding opportunity, isn't it? Like, how do you go from just being the AFL star to a completely different world where people are trusting you there? Any reflections on that? Like, did you have any tough moments where people didn't give you the respect for what you were doing?
Yeah, it probably is a personal branding exercise. Like, I hate personal branding.
Yeah.
I think it's really dangerous.
Yeah.
Because humans' views should be constantly evolving as they learn more, and branding makes that so hard because
it's like a pigeonhole, isn't it?
It does. You say,
yeah.
and all kids are doing it now on social media. They say, well, this is what I believe. And if you think back to what you believed when you were 6, it was ridiculous. And then when you were 16, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I would hope when I'm 70, when I look back to what I believe now, it should be ridiculous if the learning's continued. So, I get nervous sort of saying personal branding because I consciously try and avoid it. But there certainly wasn't a level of that. I think it's natural. Like, human beings have so much information to deal with constantly that you just need to use heuristics. If you try to understand the nuance of everyone you encountered with, good luck. If you see a guy on the train and he's screaming and appears drunk or off his head, you just put him in a box and work through that.
True.
Avoid, or are there anyone around who's small that could get hurt?
Yeah.
And do I need to do something? Right, that's the box. Like, no one's got time to delve into his history and work out if it's justified or not, or if he's dangerous and so you've generally got sort of one, when you know someone, you've sort of got one box you'll put them in.
Yes.
Because if you tried to work out the nuance, you'd never get anywhere. So that's something you come up against when you're a professional athlete and you want to make a career change. There'll be a heap of people who either can't get past that heuristic of wanting to have you in one box, or you always get some gatekeepers too who are so proud of the fact that they got a degree and went through certain channels, and
they don't want to let you in.
It's a disgusting thought to them that you could do it through a different path and you could actually be good at it. It's sort of, that challenges their worldview. So there's some things you come up with, but it's getting less and less over time because, finance is very much an industry where the numbers are the numbers.
Yeah, it's black and white.
The scoreboard doesn't really lie. So we're certainly encountering that less and less as time goes on.
So do you think your lived experiences with having Jagged, like what you saw in running business, helped you with looking at other investments? Like, how would you reflect on that?
Definitely helps. Like my world now is, a lot of fund managers live quarterly to quarterly or half-yearly report to half-yearly report. And, companies will often say, this is what we're going to do this quarter. And when they miss and they haven't been able to do it, they just get smashed, particularly in today's market. When you have not run an operating business, but been involved in an operating business before, you understand things don't always fit neatly in a 3-month period. It doesn't necessarily mean something bad's happening. It just means the customer might be, 3 weeks later making a decision. So I think understanding that even though reporting season puts these constraints on when companies have to report, the world doesn't always fit neatly into those time periods, even if fund managers would like it. So certainly having lived that, I would hope I'm able to look through that. And I'm not trying to be too perfect. I'm happy to look through a poor quarter if I think there's a re-rate coming, whereas a lot of people just expect that perfection.
Yeah. And would you say on the flip side of it, like having Jagged and what you see on the outside, like with the evolutions, like it wouldn't have been the same from when you first started to now. Those evolutions, like what does that look like on a P&L and a balance sheet when you're doing some sort of rebranding or whatever that might be?
And it's been, there's great learning. So Jagged started, it was a triathlon brand predominantly with bike gear. And then we got to a point, we started doing women's athleisure wear or women's active wear. And then we got to a point where 94% of our sales were women's active wear.
Okay.
But 50% of the time was being spent on triathlon suits or bike gear that just wasn't moving. And that just made no sense, So that idea of being able to shrink to greatness and increase people's focus when you've got a small team is really important. But also marketing, it's almost impossible to market to men and women at the same time.
Oh, so hard.
So
Yeah,
you need to be really clear. You know, Nike can sort of do it, but if you
Yeah.
think you're going to be Nike as a small business, like, good luck. So that focus on marketing, who your actual customer is and who you're marketing to and what your story is you're telling, you know, we got much greater clarity on that with Jagged. And they're the things I'm often, you know, I'm meeting with the Adair's CEO today.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really interested in that, those sort of more esoteric traits perhaps, because that brand is going to create a lot more value over time. Whereas most of my counterparts will just be like, what are the numbers? What are the numbers going to be next quarter? Like just trying to get a concrete feel for how sales are, you know, with what they're able to get.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm probably more interested in maybe some esoteric factors, and the numbers are really important as well. But the real value is often created from things that are maybe a little bit harder to measure.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, being a small business owner. And I think a lot of the time, if I've spoken to investors as well, some of them who have had businesses, and particularly if they've had businesses that have failed, will actually give you a lot more respect because you're still going to understand it. But some of the big investors perhaps overlook those things because they haven't run the small business to really understand the nuances.
And you said like public sector people, like
Yes,
government, they've got
yes.
no idea how challenging small business is. It's
Yeah.
sort of because there's such survivorship bias.
Yeah.
So they just see business people that have made it through that work, that are making money, and just assume it's just so easy. Let's just keep throwing new tax, new hurdle, new this. They don't sort of see in the forefront generally all the failures of people that just couldn't get there and often burdened or crowded out by public sector spending. So, yeah, unless you've lived it, small business is hard.
Yeah.
It requires a heap of work, a heap of risk. But, you know, that's why it's so rewarding if you're able to get through that.
And what about the economic trends? So we've had the cost of living crisis, which is sort of settling, but what do you see is coming now?
It's a challenging period. I think, you know, we're bullish asset prices and we're bearish the economy, and those two things are quite different. Yeah, I don't think the cost of living crisis is over. Like I think housing will continue to go up. You know, tax, really anything that technology is touching is dropping in value, and anything that technology is not touching that's got a level of scarcity is going up. And if there's government regulation, it's going up even quicker. So think of healthcare costs, think of education, think of land, you know, heavily regulated industries, like that's just going up really rapidly. And then any time, you know, the analogy that gets used is, you know, photos. Like if you harked back to a generation ago and you wanted to take a photo, you'd buy your $200 camera, you'd buy your $6 film. When you wanted to get it processed, you go to the chemist and pay $7. You print the photo, you put it in a photo album that might cost $10. Now with Instagram, that costs $0, that whole process. You've already got a phone, you're not buying a new camera, you're not buying a photo album, because technology's taken the cost of that down to the cost of production. And that's what technology does. So technology is wildly deflationary. You're not seeing that deflation all throughout the economy because things like government regulation, things like currency debasement, and malinvestment of government funds. So that's sort of how the world's working, and I think that gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
So the numbers, the inflation numbers, which we don't believe personally, you know, if I don't know if your life's getting 2% more expensive a year. What's happening there?
20% more expensive.
That's right. I mean, your flat screen TVs are getting heaps cheaper, or your cars, if they're coming from China, are getting cheaper. But things you're forced to buy are going up much more than 2 to 3% a year.
Yeah.
So we think that sort of trend will continue. Unfortunately, you know, inequality will become bigger, and the things people are fighting for to reduce that inequality is sort of the wrong things in our view. So it's a good time to invest. We can position ourselves accordingly. But if you're a wage earner and you don't have assets, you know, it's really ugly out there and probably gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah, because your costs are going up and your income's fixed. And
that's right.
Yeah, right.
That's right. And that ability, and that was the driver to start Cerity, is, you know, we think everyone's got to become an investor. The story we got told when we were kids was work hard, get an education, go to university, save money, and your quality of life will improve. if you measure quality of life by the quality of house you can afford to buy, that's just proven to be a lie.
Yes.
No one's
Yes.
quality of life improves just by saving money and getting a job. And I grew up and had a mate whose dad was a lawyer, and they had the great house, went on great holidays, and the mum didn't have to work. And now, fast forward today, we've got friends where both the husband and wife are lawyers. Yeah. And things are really hard for them. They've just got in the housing market. So kids are at public schools, and they've said to us, like, we became lawyers because we wanted to be rich. Yeah. And that's just not how things have worked out. So, for Cerity, we provide investment skills for people that either don't have the time or don't have the interest.
So a mum and dad investor you would take on? So
a lot of our clients are self-managed super funds. They've got to be a wholesale client, so they need a level of wealth or level of wage to qualify. But most of our customers are self-managed super funds that are working hard and just feel that their quality of life isn't improving just through the work that they're doing.
Now, personally, so you've got 4 children.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So you've got twins. Yeah. How do you manage I'm sure Beck's got a pretty hectic schedule. You've got a hectic schedule. 4 kids. I've got 2. And that's a nightmare with 2. My husband and I have our own businesses.
It's just chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think everyone in this phase of their life feels that, whether it's 2 kids or 4 kids. Yeah. Yeah. If you've got no kids, I reckon you can probably get through and feel organised, but it's just a lot. Yeah. And there's no secret sauce. Yeah, everyone's just white knuckling. We try and get some help where we can.
Yeah. What's quality time with the kids look like, or the family? Like, what is that?
I just feel we're in survival mode.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
Like we have a hot spa some nights.
Yeah.
Or we'll have a sauna sometimes, and a couple of kids will jump in. But it's really just their sport activities. Really just. It is a bit of survival mode. Just, the goal is really to get the kids where they need to go. They play a lot of sport on the weekends. If we get through that and no one's screaming at each other, that's been a win.
Awesome. And what about your health and fitness? What do you do?
So I get up early. I'm doing a lot of weights.
Yes.
I'd love to be able to run, but my Achilles is just shot to bits. So that's out of action. I've been doing hot Pilates. With the school mums, twice a week. So that's been emasculating because those school mums are strong.
Oh, yeah, and hot Pilates.
It's
Pilates
brutal.
Is hard. Hot Pilates.
I thought I was going to faint this morning. So I'm there sort of quivering, and these school mums are just punching out these arabesques. And, so that's good. I like that. I have a view that, it's good to keep changing up your exercise because your body adapts. If you're just doing the same thing over and over, your body works out how to do it more efficiently.
Especially if you're doing a lot of strength and weight training, you need something to lengthen your muscles.
That's
Otherwise you're going to contract and contract.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, all those little muscles you use. And you feel like you've had a workout. Like I've done plenty of Pilates before, but if you're spending 45 minutes or an hour and you don't feel like you've had a proper workout, I sort of need that stress.
Yes.
So it's been good fun. Yeah. So I do it with a mate, and Beck got some feedback that we were grunting a bit noisily in one of the classes the other day. But I did catch myself. Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. It is hard. Yeah.
I'm trying to reduce my grunting out of respect to the school mums.
I do the reformer Pilates. Take my husband occasionally. He's like, I've got a sore back. And I'm like, no shit, it's because you need to do Pilates. Yeah. That's why. He'll do it. And I'm like, dude, you're really loud. And your face.
You get to a stage where I don't even care. This is so uncomfortable. I'll grunt when I want.
Yeah, the women are all grateful.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So,
and what about food? So I heard you like a bit of low carb and keto.
Yeah.
So what's your food plan?
Proper keto for maybe a year. Then I went keto light.
Yes. Which
meant I wouldn't have been in ketosis, but Monday to Friday I'd eat keto and then I'd just eat whatever I wanted on weekends.
So I call that mild nutritional ketosis. So your ketones will be there if you do a blood test. So they'll be between 0.3 to 1.3, but full keto, you could do a urine dipstick and they'd be over 1. So that mild keto is your best fat burning.
Little boy keto. So that's what I'm on now. Yeah. So I still...
So how many grams of carbs per day? Like what?
Oh, I don't even look. Yeah, so it's not scientific. I felt like I was so anal about all that stuff when I played.
Yeah.
So I don't...
Oh, so you played doing keto?
No, but my diet. So
yes.
like I wouldn't eat something. My diet was not really great in hindsight,
Okay.
but it was disciplined. So I wouldn't eat, nothing would go in my mouth that wasn't 97% fat free.
Right. Oh,
Yeah, for like the
right.
first 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
Happy to eat sugar,
Yes.
but like I wouldn't eat salmon or avocado, or the only cheese I'd eat was rubber. Like,
Oh, thanks, Australian Dietary Guidelines from 1989.
yeah,
or
I was just
whatever.
on that. So it's like, I believe the food pyramid,
Yes. Yeah.
and just swallowed that up.
Yeah.
And was lean. So like I was doing so much exercise, but yeah, like nutritionally,
Yeah, well,
huge
that's
gaps.
Dr. Peter Bruckner, I think, who got type 2 diabetes from advocating for high carb diets because he was a sports doctor.
Yeah.
And then on his, something like his 50th birthday, and he wakes up to find out he's got type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
And he's lean and he's like, what?
Well, I had I was almost pre-diabetic not that long after footy.
There you go.
Like 5 years after footy. Like my blood glucose was way too high.
Yeah.
And it was just very hard to believe because I was lean.
Yeah, yeah.
And exercise, I could still run then. Like,
well, imagine for the doctor giving out this advice to everyone, then he's like, I
Yeah.
think I'm slowly killing myself. And
Yeah.
he's completely flipped and started defeat diabetes, and he's part of the low carb down under, because there's this movement now that are we told to eat carbs because of the companies that are maybe funding the breakfast cereals and
well, if you look at when
the
when the food pyramid came out,
Yeah.
it was in the 1970s. So it was a wildly inflationary period in the world and in the US, and that's where it got created. So to feed a lot amount of people for a small cost, that's a really efficient way.
Oh, yeah.
On a net gain side of things, it probably is a net gain in like they had 18% inflation in the 70s. So if you had everyone on a keto diet, reality is people couldn't eat.
Yeah, right.
So that's when it got built, and you could argue on a net gain for society that was better than having 20% of the people starving.
Right.
But it was certainly not the optimal way to eat, but it just lived for so long.
So interesting. The economics of
Big
it
time.
and where the companies, I guess, thrive then. We got more and more and more of them because cheap to manufacture.
So the gold stopped being backed by US dollars in 71.
Yeah.
Huge inflation, food pyramid created after that in the 70s and the 80s. So it's funny how, that's what's interesting about finance, is how it affects so many other aspects of your life that people are completely unaware of.
So people are spending more on food, but do you think there will be some sort of movement, like people talk about longevity and whatever else, in health investment? Because people invest financially, right? But on the flip side of it, I'm a dietitian, ex-phys diabetes educator. I'm seeing people spending
You and
more,
I are investing more in food, but not everyone.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a wealth, there's a fair bit of disparity with how much people are earning.
Yeah.
But certainly high income earners are much more conscious about their health and food.
Because the warnings, like what happened with Shane Warne and those sorts of things that really shake people up to go, hang on, where should I be putting my focus? Like, what am I saving for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, that's the challenge, is it's so expensive. So if you're struggling to make ends meet, the idea you are going to have grass-fed fillet and, eggs and fresh fruit, like it's really hard.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I reckon that gets worse.
Yeah, it's so interesting. A tiny little micro trend I've seen in the food world is, so everyone knows to have olive oil, but olive oil is so expensive. So what I've watched coming out in the market now is ready-made meals are using a derivative of olive oil, which is the waste product, and to convert that back into oil, they process it like they process seed oils with a chemical extraction. So on the label, the general consumers saying olive something oil and going, oh, it's olive oil.
Yeah.
But actually the process is made through chemical extraction, which is the whole reason we hate seed oils and they're inflammatory. So this health washing stuff.
If people understood their food, it would blow their mind. I mean, I only really started to understand it a few years ago, but I had a friend that wanted to make a ready-to-drink tequila drink.
Yeah.
Right? And they wanted fresh lime and tequila in a can. And they went there, and the contract manufacturer was like, how do you think it's tastes? And she's like, I'd like fresh lime. And they're like, we don't use any fresh lime, it's just lime flavour. And she's like, they think, what do you think about the tequila? It's like, what tequila are you using? It's like, there's no tequila. You just use ethanol and add tequila flavour. Wow. And that's what people are, whereas in my mind, it was just like, there'd be some fresh lime juice, some preservatives probably, and tequila, but no, just tequila flavour. Just use the ethanol. And that's just one small example, but it's just, you know, when you like Pringles, there's no potato in the whole thing.
What are we actually
Zero. That's right.
eating?
You're like, what is
terrifying?
What is that thing?
Yeah,
like,
I hear. Yeah.
And then people wonder why they're not as fit as they want to be.
Yeah. Their joints, their brain fog.
Yeah, they feel tired, of course.
Yeah.
But it's hard to avoid it.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're really just eating stuff that looks what it did on the plant. And even then, you see the berries are sprayed with so much crap. And, I mean, I think you just got to try and get the big things right.
Yes.
If you're trying to get perfect,
picture,
you'll do your own heading.
Right, yeah.
So, but if you try and eat food that looks like it did when it was on the plant or as an animal.
Or get it frozen if you're time poor. That's my biggest sort of learning is starting my food company, we started it chilled.
Yeah.
But then as we were scaling up with manufacturing, they're like, well, if you want it chilled, it's only going to last 2 days.
Yeah.
So you're now going to have to gas it with nitrogen. That's going to change the bacteria of the
Yeah.
food. Every day it ages, you're growing bad bacteria, nutrient levels are dropping.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how do you preserve it the way it is? And freezing is the only safe way without filling it full of chemicals, changing the atmospheric pressures in the environment. And people don't know that. They think that freezing, frozen's got a lower perception of value, but your frozen vegetables from the supermarket will have higher nutrient levels than the things that have been sitting there for 3 months in the chiller and on the truck and whatever else, or come from California if you're buying some random product.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate.
I've learned a lot. So this is the Inspired CEO, and we'll be right back.